My sister tried to seduce my husband while living in our home. I caught it all on the baby monitor when my sister Elise called me sobbing at 2 a.m. about losing her apartment. I didn't hesitate. Stay with us until you get back on your feet. I offered my husband. Mark agreed. Parent family helps family, no questions asked. Elise arrived the next day with 3 suitcases and her trademark smile that could charm anyone. Our 3-year-old daughter, Lily, immediately adored her cool auntie with the colorful tattoos and endless patience for playing princess. The first 2 weeks were perfect. Elise cooked elaborate dinners, deep cleaned a bathroom as thanks, and insisted on babysitting so Mark and I could have our first date night in months. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have a sister who fit so seamlessly into our lives during a difficult time. Then small things began to change. I'd find my expensive face serums half empty. My favorite sweaters would appear in the laundry stretched and smelling of unfamiliar perfume. Once I discovered my wedding album moved from the shelf to Elise's nightstand. When questioned, she'd laugh it off. Pert. Just wanted to see how dorky you guys looked. We're sisters. What's yours is mine, right? Mark noticed too. Is it normal for her to ask so many questions about our relationship? He asked one night. Perturnly, she'd been probing about our love language and whether we were still passionate after having a kid. I brushed it off as Elise being her naturally curious self. After all, her last 3 relationships had failed spectacularly. Maybe she was just trying to understand what made a marriage work. Then came the Thursday I came home early from work with a migraine. As I walked into the kitchen, I froze. Elise was leaning against the counter wearing my silk robe, the one Mark had given me for our anniversary. Her hair was freshly styled, makeup perfect at 2 p.m. on a weekday. She was laughing at something Mark said, her hand resting on his arm. Mark's body language was stiff, uncomfortable. When he saw me, relief washed over his face. Hey, you are home early, he said, immediately stepping away from Elise. Just felt like dressing up today, Elise explained with a shrug when she noticed my stare, and I spilled coffee on my shirt so I borrowed your robe. Hope that's okay. That night, after putting Lily to bed, I remembered something. Our baby monitor had a second camera we'd set up in the living room when Lily was learning to walk. We rarely used it now, but it was still connected to the system that saved footage to our cloud storage. While Mark showered, I checked the recordings from the past week. What I saw made my stomach turn. Every night after Mark and I went to bed, Elise would come downstairs in increasingly revealing outfits. Mark often stayed up late working on his laptop. The footage showed her accidentally needing something from the kitchen, striking up conversations, sitting progressively closer on the couch. Last night's footage was the worst. Don't you ever feel trapped? She'd asked him. I mean, you married so young. You never got to experience options. Mark had gathered his things and gone upstairs without answering. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt strangely calm, like I was watching someone else's life implode. By morning, I had made my decision. I waited until Mark left for work and Lily was occupied with her cartoons. Then I packed Elise's belongings and placed them by the front door with a note. Your Uber arrives at noon. It's already paid for. When she came downstairs and saw her bags, her face cycled through confusion, anger, and finally a practiced innocence. What's this about? I played the video clips on my phone without speaking. That's nothing, she scoffed. You were overreacting. Mark and I were just talking. You weren't just trying to take my husband, I said quietly. You were trying to take my life, my home, my child's affection, my clothes, my identity. You weren't being a sister parent, you were being a replacement. She began crying, claiming depression, loneliness, poor judgment. Please, I have nowhere to go. We're family. Family respects boundaries, I replied, opening the door as the Uber pulled up. You can figure out your next steps somewhere else. After she left, I changed the locks, removed her access to our security system, and blocked her number on my phone. Mark was horrified when I showed him the footage, confirming he'd been increasingly uncomfortable but hadn't wanted to cause family drama by mentioning it. 3 weeks later, Elise's friend reached out saying she was staying with her but wanted to reconcile. She's really sorry and misses you all, especially Lily. I sent back a single photo. Lily's therapy dog prescribed for her separation anxiety after a previous nanny abruptly left, comfortably sleeping in what used to be Elise's room. Some people say I should forgive her because she's family, but I've learned that sometimes the most dangerous threats don't come from strangers, they come from those who know exactly what you have and decide they want it for themselves.